Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Sorta Sophisticated, where culture, curiosity, and chaos collide. I'm your host, Pete, and with me, as always, is Amanda.
Hello.
Hi, Amanda.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm surviving.
Great. You look awesome today, by the way.
Oh, that's very nice of you.
April Fools. Yeah. How do you like that? Was that a good start or what?
Wow.
Boom.
Wow, it is. It
Right?
is April Fool's.
We have Farmer Amanda over here.
Wow. Wow.
hanging
That's
out,
how this
having fun.
episode's going to go today. Here we are. Okay.
Yeehaw, mofos. Okay, so I'm just going to rip a Band-Aid here. I'm asking you a question. Can I do that?
Okay.
It's a little philosophical because I only ask philosophical questions.
All right, here we go.
I think it's actually going to blow your mind. Are you ready for this?
All right.
Who owns the earth? Who owns
God?
the earth? God. I like that. I don't know either. But this is what sort of inspired this whole
Were you inspired because the government bought the domain alien.gov?
Did they do that?
Yeah.
Why'd they do that?
I don't know.
What's happening?
I don't
Are they
know.
out there? Did you ever watch
Probably.
The X-Files?
Yeah.
With Mulder and Scully? Oh my God, I loved it. No, so I was thinking, depending on who you are, you have different answers. So God is one answer,
Yeah.
right? And then I guess if you're an American, you think, oh, I guess we own it, right? That's sort of culturally where we are. We buy land. We think it's ours,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
But
Where are we going?
Because then I started thinking about indigenous people, and I was like, well, they didn't really ever think they owned it. They just thought they were in communion with it. So long story short, I was like, because it's Earth Day, right? Earth Day's it's April.
Okay.
So April, Earth Day, I was like,
very, very.
and it just started getting me thinking about all these different perspectives people have on Earth.
Okay.
And I thought, let's do an episode on Earth Day, but not really Earth Day, because, do people really want to learn about Earth Day? They kind of do, but I like my whole twists. Let's do an episode on, but
Yes,
then we
yes,
twist
yes,
it. Yeah.
okay.
So Earth Day's our hook, because we try to be topical, right? We try to be
Pop culture.
yeah, right.
Relevant.
So, yes. So it's April, and we can talk about it.
Okay.
And I figure we go a little deep, and
Great.
we sort of twist this whole thing up and talk about who really owns the Earth and what our responsibility is to it. So, that's what's happening.
Here we are. Wait, so what's our official title? Is it Doomsday?
No, not
The Earth is imploding.
It is. Yes. That's what Amanda. Was that an April Fool's joke?
No, I
That wasn't it.
seriously,
That was it, yeah.
well, because Earth Day always comes.
Because of magma.
we always talk about it. I don't know, we're supposed to love the Earth and take care of it. We only have one Earth.
We only have one Earth.
Yeah, but there's two rabbit holes. The we should take care of it,
Mhm.
or the we're doomed. So what's our title for the show?
We're gonna take care of it.
Okay.
I'm not a doomsdayer. You're the doomsdayer, and I'm not the doomsdayer. The title is The Oldest Lesson Some Societies Seem to Forget.
Oh, I like it.
The oldest lesson some societies seem to forget. Yeah,
I do feel like we forget to look back in history.
Oh, we're gonna do
You know
that
what I
today.
mean? Okay.
We're gonna go back. We're gonna go forward. We're gonna do a lot of stuff.
But also,
Right.
when did Earth Day start?
Earth Day started in 1969.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Not that long ago, though.
Oh, 50 years.
Yeah,
50,
it's
yeah,
just
a little
kind of
over.
crazy that
Yeah, 55.
Industrial Revolution came, and that's when society started shit. Anyways, before I go down the rabbit hole of,
What?
of history, because I'm now hooked and fascinated,
Let's go. Good. I got you early.
how does this make us more cultured and curious?
Let's see here. Because, Amanda, I would say that it's kind of the whole premise of our show. It's why we started this whole thing. Because it was about learning about not just our culture, but other cultures and other people, and having more self-awareness and better perspective. And so if we can appreciate how other cultures think about the Earth, not just ours, then we probably are sort of in line with the whole premise of the show to begin with.
Fair.
So I think it sort of just sort of fits in good.
Okay. I think that maybe it's just a California American. We are always told, right? Recycle, reuse, reduce the waste, right? Do you
Right.
remember the little...
Drive electric cars by 2030 or else.
Correct. Right.
Right.
We are just always environmental friendly,
Uh-huh.
air quotes.
Yes,
But I don't think it's actually in our DNA as Americans.
I would agree.
Oh.
No, absolutely. I have an idea.
Just for generations and generations, it's just a different mentality.
I think we skip to the end. Our call to action should be watch Pocahontas. Because
Yeah.
Pocahontas, Disney, they teach you that it's all important stuff. And
Everything's connected.
Yes, and she was responsible for her Earth. And besides, it has really good songs and it's nostalgic.
Did you
I
pick
love
our
Disney.
word of the week from Pocahontas?
I did
Oh.
not. No. No. Okay, pivoting to word of the week. Here we go. Our word of the week is effulgent. Effulgent.
Effulgent.
Effulgent.
Like I like to fold.
No, fulge.
Fulge.
Yeah.
Like
A
fudge.
fulgent, not fold,
Like a
F-O-L-D, like a
You know what would be-
fulgent.
You know what should be called a fulge?
What?
Like your fat roll.
Oh, that would be good. Wow. Did you mean my fat roll? Because, wow.
No, but like,
That was
you know,
very
like
hurtful.
no, not you. I didn't say you at all.
Okay.
Just a fulgent.
It
Like
felt
you'd be like, my fulgent is coming over my pants.
That's pretty good. Yeah, so that's not what it is at all.
Nothing to
But
do with
that's-
excess fat.
So for today, that's going to be the definition. That's how we're going to be allowed to use it. I like that. No, effulgent means shining brightly, like way out in the
Okay.
sky, but also not just like, I mean, yes, stars are effulgent, but like a bride could be effulgent,
Okay.
right? Like shining, like radiant, like brilliant.
All right.
You get the idea. It comes from the Latin effulgere maybe. I don't know, which means to shine forth.
Okay.
Yeah. So shining outward.
Effulgent.
Effulgent.
Yeah.
Or you can use it for fat folds today.
Okay.
Okay.
How's your effulgent haircut coming?
Is it shining for? What are you saying? Am I shining? Is this shiny?
I guess it wouldn't be an effulgent haircut. It'd
No.
be like, how's your effulgent
Look.
bald head going?
It's like look. Right. That's better.
I'll get you. I'll get it.
Can we please start the episode now?
Yes, go ahead.
Do you
Go
mind?
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to table of contents this because I know this is going to be a little weird because we're going all over the place. Because like, are we just going to talk about Earth Day? No, we're not. That's bullshit. Here's what's going to happen. First, we're going to talk about the whole modern environmental movement.
Okay.
Like, so we get on board with when that happened in like America and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Then we're going to go macro
Okay.
and zoom like super far out and go back to like indigenous cultures and the whole idea about how they already figured it out like thousands of years before us and all that kind of stuff. And then my favorite part, we're going to talk about sort of a little bit of the philosophy behind what I started this whole thing with, which is who owns the earth?
Oh, yes.
God, right? And sort of where we got off track and who thinks what about the earth and sort of the philosophical debate, so to
Okay.
speak. And I think we're just going to kind of leave it there and
Okay.
just sort of be happy that we're living on this big round ball and being awesome and trying to be good stewards.
Okay.
So there we go.
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, so the modern environmental movement. Okay, so most historians agree that this modern environmental movement basically started with a book called Silent Spring, written by Rachel Carson in 1962. Silent Spring.
Okay. What'd she say?
So apparently Rachel Carson was a marine biologist and spent most of her life researching DDT. Do you know DDT? Do you remember DDT?
Isn't that like the bad stuff?
Yeah, it's like that
Chemical,
pesticide.
yeah.
Yeah. It started like after World War II or I don't know, whatever. They used it during World War II. I don't know. Don't quote me on any of that. So, and all the effects that like it had on birds and animals and wildlife and all this kind of shit. And she figured out that basically it was working its way through our whole food chain, like everything. It was killing insects, then poisoning fish, then ultimately killing all the bird
Yes.
population.
The circle
Yeah.
of life.
Yes. Yeah. And so her big argument, which doesn't seem very big to us today, of course, but like back then in 1962 when she wrote the book was, humans just can't go around doing whatever the hell they want without consequences and sort of the earth or the world like pushing back.
Okay.
And she like got laughed at. People thought she was a nut job. They were like, yeah, this is sort of bullshit. Go back to wherever you came from, like, which totally sucks. So it wasn't until I guess CBS picked up her book or whatever, and then like they interviewed her in 1963 on live TV. And then because of that, JFK got involved, right? At the time he was the president of the United States. And he ordered like a full investigation, was like, okay, maybe she's onto something. And because of that, it took off. Like people were like, oh, well, now we all of a sudden have to listen. So for the first year and a half, she was told she was a nutcase, magically gets on TV. Thank God she did. And then
Here we
JFK
are.
takes it from there. Right.
Okay.
And then the sad part, a year later, 1964, she died.
Or was she unalived by somebody?
No, by DDT probably.
I mean,
Right, because she ate some bad fish. That's terrible. I have no idea. I'm praying for you, Rachel Carson. That is not true. She died. That's all I know.
okay. So is that the reason that started Earth Day? Like JFK coming in and,
JFK got blown away. That is not how Earth Day got started.
that's a horrible joke.
That's not a joke.
Are you talking about that he was assassinated?
That's Billy Joel. JFK got blown away. What else do I have to say? We didn't start the fire. It's a great song. What are you talking about?
What?
He did get blown away. I mean, it's sad, but he did. Like, never mind. Okay. Earth Day started in 1969. I told you it was like 3 or 5 years later or whatever. So the real catalyst for Earth Day was, I guess there was an oil spill off the coast of Santa Barbara, California, right here. This massive oil spill. And it stained all of our beaches,
Oh, I
killed
bet,
the
yeah.
fish, killed the wildlife, da-da-da-da. And this guy, a senator from Wisconsin, of all places, Gaylord Nelson, was like, this is bullshit. And he went bonkers and started this whole Earth Day premise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
that's how
a senator.
from Wisconsin, right?
All right.
So he organizes Gaylord, our buddy Gaylord. So can I just call him Gay? Like nickname? Can we go Gay?
No.
What do we do then?
I think
Wait.
Senator Nelson would be appropriate.
I like Senator Nelson. That's much. You know what? Senator Nelson gives me the vibe. It's like effulgent, right? It's like he's really
very radiant.
It's really he is. Okay, so Senator Nelson, he organizes something called a teach-in. And on April 22nd, 1970, which was the very first quote-unquote Earth Day, 20 million Americans show up in all these different cities all across the United States.
20 million.
Demonstration, marches, educational events, all this stuff. And like, here's my question. How does Senator Nelson plan all that in 1970? Like, are we making phone calls?
But like,
Because you're not texting people.
But were these all like the hippies?
No, these were like real, like everybody was into it. The movement had started.
Okay.
They were getting pissed that there were no regulations. So I'm sure that was some of it. Yes, in 1970, like I will say part of it was that.
Okay,
yes,
sure.
but no, there are also a bunch of regular people.
I mean, pre-internet, 20 million's insane.
That is insane.
That's crazy.
That's a record. That's a fun fact.
Ooh.
Up to that point, that was the largest political demonstration in U.S. history,
Well,
like in
interesting.
one
So
day.
Earth Day technically was a political movement first.
Sí, senor.
Oh.
Yes, that's how it started.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
Is this one like the EPA started?
This is, yes. So it didn't even take that much longer after that. So I did look that whole thing up. In 1970, so I don't know, 7 months after, they start the Environmental Protection Agency. Thank you very much.
Do we think it does good work?
We think it did do good work.
Oh.
It started the Clean Air Act. It started the Clean Water Act. It started the Endangered Species Act. It started a lot of acts. They were acting like that.
They're
Like
like,
it was
"Let's go."
crazy. So now, I don't know, but then all of these things, like, so you go all the way back to Silent Spring, the book, and then you go to Senator Nelson, and then all of this was created all within what? The book was 1963, whatever it was, 7 years. And all this is happening. So I think it's absolutely incredible. And then fast forward only 25 years from then, in 1990, guess how many people were involved in Earth Day? So it started with 20 million people, right? You want to take a guess?
200.
200 million. Yes, you're absolutely right. You nailed it.
Oh, really?
200 million.
Oh, that's funny.
141 countries, 200 million people.
So now
involved.
it's like
It's
Earth Day is international. It's not just America.
No, it's totally massive.
So
It is
America
massive.
does own the Earth because we started Earth Day.
We think.
I'm just kidding.
Isn't that terrible?
I'm just kidding.
And therein lies the problem. But that was an excellent segue into the next part here about how cultures think about land.
Oh, how funny.
Right?
Okay.
Because that's
Wow. Totally unplanned.
That's what you're here for. Well, now we know who the sophisticated is, and we know who the sorta is, right? We have all that figured out. Yeah, okay.
I think everybody already knew that. It's episode 98.
I guess, yeah. Anybody who's actually been listening does know that. If you're tuning in
True.
for the first time,
It's
I
true.
guess we just gave you the cheat code. So here we are. Okay. Can we get back to Earth Day?
Yes,
Let's
go for it.
Okay. So like I said at the beginning, context first. So America, Europe, like what we're going to call the West or the
Yes.
Western world,
Yes.
right? Everybody thinks his land as what I said, property, right? Something you own. You own your land.
I mean, technically I don't because I feel like
We
the
pay
government
tax.
can come
I know.
in
I
and
know,
pay
but you get
taxes.
the idea.
just sell things. Okay, yes.
And they have, what are they called? The mining rights or whatever they call those.
Uh-huh.
I don't
Yep.
know what they call those. Yeah. So all that kind of crap. But anyway, yeah, just whatever. It's what you were taught. Like your parents own land or then you own land. And it's like, man, bullshit. Like, okay.
Own in quotation marks. Got it.
Yes. It's like a cultural assumption that it's a universal truth that we're allowed to own land. That's my whole point. Okay. But the other side of this whole thing is that the indigenous communities looked at it not as something you owned, but as something you were in a relationship with. You had responsibilities to take care of it. You were in communion with land. But back to Pocahontas, back to the
Yes.
whole Joker. Yeah, okay, you get the whole idea. So, okay. So fun fact, best example I could find on this whole thing. Right. The Iroquois Nation.
Yes.
Okay. Something called the Haudenosaunee. I think we talked about the Haudenosaunee Confederacy
did.
one time.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Yeah. It's one of the oldest democracies on earth. That's when we talked
Yes,
about it. We were talking
yes.
about how the democracies were created. They were the influence behind the U.S. Constitution, if I remember
Yes,
right. Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Okay, but that's not my fun fact. So the Haudenosaunee Confederacy has a philosophy called the seventh generation principle. The seventh generation principle. And that
Okay.
principle says, hold on, I want to quote this. When you're making any important decision, you don't just think about what's good for you right now. You have to think about what the impact will be 7 generations from now, which, if you do the math, is 150 years from now.
But if everyone lived by that principle, we wouldn't be in a lot of the shit that
No,
we're in now.
This is
Just saying.
this is sort of the point of my episode, is that I wanted to just sort of get into a little bit of the philosophy behind all this kind of stuff, because also it doesn't just go 150 years in the future. It's also 150 years in the past. It goes both ways. They consider it.
Oh.
So it's like, it's what you leave behind. You have to consider what you're leaving behind 150 years in your past, not just looking
Right. So
forward.
like it's a 300-year span.
So that kind of
in theory.
the concept behind the whole thing is. And then that ties you to the 7 generations that came before you, because you have to recognize while you're making a decision
what they sacrificed for you, and then what you're sacrificing for the future.
I just softballed that.
I mean,
to
you did. You teed
that was
it up.
Perfect. Oh my God. Because compare that now to like Americans or Europeans or whatever the Western world does, right? And we're not thinking in like 150 years. We're thinking in 150 days.
Yeah.
We're like literally like
Our lifetimes.
Yeah, I love Pack Lab. Don't get me wrong, but like, what do we think? We think in quarters. Right? What's our quarterly earnings? Like think of all the businesses, all the corporations. Think of everything you and Trent do. It's all about quarterly earnings. It's all about annual returns. It's like we're in like micro.
But I feel like that is due to, being in our capitalistic society.
I'm going to call bullshit on it.
You don't think so?
No, I think it's true. I just don't like it.
Oh, yes.
Have you ever like wanted to be born in a different time?
Well, but no.
No, I see. I know that it comes with a lot of
maybe yes,
hardships.
because I don't
but,
want AI and robots.
I just
but or aliens.
Or gluten. Go ahead.
But I do think that we have lost a lot of what sustained us, right? Like you said, gluten. And I think, oh no, I really want to get a wheat meal, and I want to like get the wheat berries, and I want to like mill my own wheat, right? I mean, it's so stupid. Yeah. No, I do want to, but am I going to do that? I don't bake enough because I just go to the store and I buy my bread. You know what I mean? Like, so
because you're trying to take yourself out of this circle. Everybody around you is doing one thing, and you're trying to take yourself out of the circumstance and put you in. You can't do that. What I'm saying is I want to be born in a different time completely, where everybody else is doing it, in which case then you would wake up and that would be your intention for the day. That's my point, because everybody else would be like.
So you want to go back to
So you'd be
back
bartering.
on the prairie is what you want.
Yes, I kind of do.
Little House on the Prairie.
I do. I kind of do. I want to be a little Michael Landon. Let's go. But here's the thing. When I was researching all this stuff about Earth Day and figuring it all out, although it started in America, it wasn't just like Indigenous people in the Iroquois Nation, for instance. All Indigenous cultures, all of the world, everywhere.
But I think you had to, because that was all that you were given was the land.
Okay, but my point is,
we still really.
Why did we get so?
On the philosophy.
Why did we get so far away from it? What happened to where we were like? Now it's like everybody out for themselves. Like, I have to have my little house. I have to have my little place. It has to be mine. Like before, it was villages. Before, it was like you did your job, I did my job, and we were in a community together, and it all worked. I don't like. Oh my God! It drives me nuts. Okay, so there's.
That's very un-American of you.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't.
I've lived this, so
I feel like sometimes I'm just living in the wrong gen. What do you want me to tell you? I don't know.
Well, but I don't know if it's you're living in the wrong generation, or it's that at such a time as this, that you were supposed to maybe like start a little mini revolution within your own community.
Yeah. So here's the bad part. Here's like the whole self-awareness thing.
Zero ambition to do so.
Right. So here we are again. Right.
Here we are.
So creature comforts. So what am I supposed to do with that? It's bullshit. Do I need to move? Do I have to move to like Australia or to like New Zealand?
They want you.
What?
I don't think they want you either.
Who wants me? Nobody wants me.
You're an American. Nobody wants you.
I'm a man without a plan. That's terrible. Okay, so speaking of Australia and New Zealand, whether they want me or not. So the Maori people, you know the Maori people? Yeah. They have something they call, like, I'm going to butcher this, Kaitia Katana, which basically translates to guardianship of the natural world. So same idea of the Haudenosaunee people, right? The idea is that humans aren't above nature, but they are just one little teeny part of nature. Yep. Yes. And they have this responsibility to protect future generations just the same way Haudenosaunee did.
Yes.
All the Aboriginal people in all of Australia, they do something called cultural burning. Have you heard of cultural burning? Low intensity fires fix the whole ecosystem to properly manage land and promote, like, what do they call it? Biodiversity. Yeah, biodiversity.
But then you have a fire, and then it has air pollution. We did the Clean Air Act. I mean,
but because we're just correcting, it's like Western medicine. We're just doing the symptoms, right? We're just trying to get at all the symptoms.
That's true.
It's the same problem. You're gonna love this fun fact. This one's wild. I looked this whole because I remember when Australia, what was it, like, I don't know, a few years ago, place like went up in gazillion Flint.
Mm-hmm,
It was
mm-hmm.
massive, massive fire. You remember this?
Yeah, the smoke came all the way this way.
Scientists went back and they studied all the places that were burned. And all the places that had been managed by Aboriginal traditional burning had way less damage than any places that weren't.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, even though they hadn't practiced that burning in like years and years, because the Australian government shut the whole thing down. Like they did the same thing as America did and said, you can't practice your cultural burning anymore and all that kind of stuff. Even though they hadn't done that in whatever many years, they still found there was more biodiversity left in those areas than anywhere else in Australia, which I think is unbelievable.
It's testament and
Yes.
proof to the fact that we should go back to the old ways.
Yes. We should just relearn what it is that they all were doing the whole time, and we were decided not to pay any attention to and said, no, here's what we're going to do, Industrial Revolution.
Fair.
We're going to do all this big stuff. They actually have a name for that.
Oh, what's that?
Relearning something from a long time ago.
What?
It's called Traditional Ecological Knowledge, TEK.
Okay. Tech?
Yes, tech. Yes.
Okay.
And let me quote. It basically refers to the knowledge that indigenous communities have accumulated over thousands of years of living with their local ecosystems and then subsequently passed down through generations. So we come up with a name for it because we need to have a name called Traditional Ecological Knowledge.
Yep.
When in fact it's just, hey, dumb shits, you should have been listening to us the whole time.
Fair.
But we have to have a word of the week.
No, we have
for
to
it.
appropriate.
Right. We have to
appropriate
why do we oh my God, it's so dumb, right?
Because appropriation, man.
Okay, but I will say this, though. It's not just America. Like, Europe did the same thing.
Yes,
I told you Australia did the
yes.
same thing. South America, it's not just America.
But I think it's just
all
going back to
did
our
it.
roots, right?
It's totally going back to the roots. I mean, I will give us a little bit of credit, I guess, because at least since 1970 or 1962, whatever, like we started. I don't
know, but we made government bigger, which is not what any of like the indigenous, tribes and colonies were,
no, I know,
right? And so I do feel like we've maybe red taped things more, but I don't believe that we've gotten any better at it because we haven't changed our cultural understanding or what we're teaching our kids.
So I agree with you, but 200
it's like we have to do this because it's regulated versus we're doing this because we care about the earth.
I like where you're going with that. So somewhere we have to turn it back to sort of making this a self-awareness moment for me. Like you said earlier, why aren't you doing something about it? So somewhere we have to turn this into a...
Well, you have to own it.
Not talky and and actually
It's not a political point, right? But we all treat it like political points.
And that's not really what it should be. It should just be a way of life.
Yes, I would agree.
You have a very good point there.
Okay, but it's if we're going back to this concept that you said earlier about owning land versus being in a relationship with it. I do agree because I think we very often lose perspective, and we talk about perspective a lot, on this podcast.
Yes.
And so if it kind of all started from that we are a part of this land versus or being in a relationship or
this land is your land. This land is
unless you
land.
own it.
From California. Go ahead. What were you saying?
But I think this just gets down to philosophy. Right. And like I was just saying earlier, that you have to own it, but it has to be within our culture. It has to be part of the DNA. And I don't think it's part of our DNA as a society. So how do we get back on that track of the philosophy of we are in relationship and one with the land versus owning the land?
I don't think I have answers for that. It's that TEK, man. It's just, what do you want me to say? It's the traditional ecological knowledge and listening to the indigenous communities. There's no real answer here. It's just, we think we own everything because that's just the way we were brought up. And our next generation, unless we start changing it, we don't know what to, I don't think one person can do jack shit about it. But I would argue that we have to get to a point where we feel like it's a gift, that we're being granted permission to be part of this thing.
I mean, I do love
I need my faith to do that. That's the only way. I can't see it any other way.
That's true.
Right? And if people don't have faith, I don't know what to tell you, but that's a big part for me.
But it's also, I think, owning a little bit of the fact that the whole 150 years previous to 150 years forward.
Yes.
What your footprint, what your impression is on this world that you're going to leave behind.
But if you also ask me that, I'm a faith-filled person, but if you ask me what do I think about that and what does that look like for me and my legacy, I think I'd have a meltdown on you right now. I don't have any of those answers.
It's a very big picture big concept.
But it makes me want to go do something. It makes me really want to like change my ways. I think I'm going to change my ways. I think
You're gonna have a mental shift here.
I think I am.
Oh,
I think
you
I
are?
am. Yeah.
Okay.
I read. I was doing research. Obviously, I read. There was another woman. Her name was Robin Wall Kimmerer. She wrote a book called Braiding Sweetgrass, and she talks about this whole concept of owning land versus being in communion with, or
Okay.
or using it as
Yeah.
asking permission, right? And she's got a quote that I loved that's in the book. It says, "Ask permission before taking. Never take first, never take last, and take only what you need." And her whole argument is that, like, if Western science started with that super simple, philosophical framework, that we would be completely different with like our decision making and our red taping and our big government
I mean, I
and
would
the whole
agree.
idea. And so what caught me on that one was never take first, never take last. Like, you don't think about it that way.
Yeah.
And then only take what you need. I was like, it was a really good way of saying, don't be douchey.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I don't know. I just really liked it. Anyway, but my whole point about this whole philosophical piece that I wanted to even bring up in the first place about owning versus, being allowed to use the land is even Earth Day. Even the fact that we have Earth Day, we're saying by default our actions are, let's make a day where we tell everybody that we have to manage things better. We have to manage the land. We have to there's like action verbs that we're supposed to do something strong to make a point. And I'm arguing there's a softness that's completely and totally missing. We don't have to do or manage. We have to be thankful.
Yes, I think you are right. I do believe that it is more about, instead of someone telling you to do something, you wanting to do it, right? And so even though we have Earth Day, it's like this one day that we draw attention to it. And it's like, we need to do this and we need to be better and we da-da-da and da-da-da-da and da-da-da. But then it kind of goes by the wayside. Like, we all forget about it. We celebrate Earth Day. Yay, yes. Instant gratification.
Right.
All done. We did our thing. Check, check. Versus, again, it being just in your belief system, in your structure of how you see the world and what you're putting out and how you live. And I don't know if I buy that Earth Day or the EPA or any of these other things have really effectively changed culturally how we view.
No, but we can't say they're not trying. So here's the problem, right? It's like anything else, like any laws or anything else you put in place. You have people that got out of control, right? Like the plants and the animals and the reptiles, and all, they didn't get out of control. They just did what they've known to do for millennia.
Right. No, like we as human, we got greedy, we got capitalism, we got industrial revolution, and there's so many things that got us to this point.
We seven deadly sinned the shit out of it, and here we are. But like, if we just went back to it, I'm watching this new thing on, I don't know, Netflix. It's with Morgan Freeman. It's called The Dinosaurs or something. And like, Earth took care of itself.
Yeah.
Earth literally took care of itself before dinosaurs.
Perfect microbiome.
I'm watching the first one. It was in the Triassic era or something like that. And there were just reptiles. There weren't even dinosaurs yet. But like, the reptiles died, and the reptile died because the Earth did stuff. The Earth moved and changed and shifted, and it had rains and all sorts of stuff. And then that happened. And then the dinosaurs came, and then the Earth decided to do something again. And then we came, and it's like, we're just part of the cycle. So we got too smart
we're like
for ourselves.
futzing with the cycle.
Exactly. And so I have to say, I appreciate all the EPA and all the Clean Air Act, all that stuff, because all they're really trying to do is regulate the insanity of humanity.
Unless you pay them off.
Did I get credit for insanity of humanity?
Oh.
That was pretty good right there. But I mean, that's what they were. I get all the corrupt
But it goes
stuff.
back to our like 7 sins.
But then you have no real solution. You're just saying, I want to bitch about the system.
No.
What I'm trying to say
the system is broken.
Yes.
In all shapes and ways.
Yes.
But I'm saying, really, instead of tackling it by this system or societal hierarchy, that it really should be a cultural DNA change.
And for me,
people
again,
to buy in.
it goes back to faith. It all like for me, because it has to start from somewhere. And so that's
it has to start from that's outside of yourself.
That's
that
always
you
my
are
God. Yes.
Something's bigger than you.
Okay, so last thing on this whole point about getting it in the DNA, I was reading that Indigenous people in today's 2026 make up about 5% of all of our population, like human population. Okay, Indigenous people, because I mean, whatever. Over the years, like we've procreated together. So I don't know how they figure out that stat. So don't freak out on it. But they're managing 25% of the world's land all over the world. So 5% of the population, indigenous population, that's all that's left, is managing 25% of the land. And I would argue they are doing it better than any of us.
Yeah.
So I'm arguing that there's at least a chance that we're still in the realm of we can fix this if we really start using TEK, because they're managing their biodiversity so much better than us, and they're still doing it to this day right now, and we're only now starting to pay attention with this whole idea of getting a relationship with it. So I'm just trying to give a glimmer of hope, right? That we can get somewhere if we start paying attention.
Yes. Okay.
Anyway,
I can agree with that. Okay, so I have an idea. We should make a pact.
I don't like any of your ideas.
I know.
Okay.
But this Earth Day, I think that we should not just be in like the rah-rah camp, it's Earth Day and all the good things and we need to protect Earth, blah, blah, but like actually do something or like make a commitment that we are going to change our mindsets. Because I think this episode overall is that it's a mind expanding episode, right? It's not necessarily like call to actions on what I can do like immediately, but maybe the first thing you can do, physically immediately is work on yourself and your attitude and how you approach your footprint and, what that looks like on Earth.
I'm in. I'm excited.
Now and for your future kids,
I'm
grandkids.
excited and nervous.
I don't know.
Well, because you're right. I've got off my ass and started exercising like 5 months ago. And if you ask me why, my answer is because of my grandkids. Yeah. It's because I want to not be a burden. So I'm not even doing it for me anymore. I'm doing it for my kids. I'm doing it for my grandkids.
But think about if you live that way in all areas of your life.
So I love this, but I'm also scared shitless because now I have to go do real research and like take you seriously.
But you have to be like convicted.
I'm going to get convicted in one thing. I'll figure it out. It's the same way I have like a physical goal each year, a mental goal, a spiritual goal. I'm going to have an environmental. I'm adding an environmental goal. And it's not going to be about managing. It's going to be about being in a relationship. Okay. You're freaking me out, but I'm going to do this.
Here we go.
I like this.
All right.
Okay, fine. All right. Fun facts. Can I do fun facts?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, here we go. Number 1. Do you know why they picked April 22nd to be Earth Day each year?
No.
Like why it was strategically chosen?
Because 2 + 2 = 4.
That's exactly it. Yes. It's because of math.
Shut up. No,
no, not at all. Okay, you remember our boy Gaylord Nelson, Senator Nelson?
Yes.
He loved the idea that it fell between spring break and college final exams because this movement, obviously, was about a lot of youth, all the youth, right? So students could actually be on campus, available to participate, not be shitting a brick over finals. And so he reverse engineered this date around a college academic calendar to get the most exposure from the generation that he thought would be the most interested.
They're always trying to steal the minds of the children.
Oh, wow.
Okay, continue.
Woohoo! But in this case, it's a good mind steal. Yes, it is.
Is it? They're not teaching about indigenous ways on how they preserve the land.
This
is a whitewashed EPA, big government, shove it down your throat, steal your mind.
You are 100% correct. But I'm telling you, until you come up with another viable alternative, that's all we got. So
you know what they should do?
I'm just going to try to do
one little thing. They should just make it the day of like platforming indigenous peoples and talking about how the land was cared for and how
let's do it.
We can do our part.
Okay, then maybe that's what we're gonna. This may be our little thing. Oh my God,
power paw.
Here we go. I'm gonna do this. Okay, number 2. So bald eagles. You know bald eagles,
yes.
Right? They were endangered in the 1960s, 1970s.
Yeah, but it's kind of ironic that our national bird is also endangered. Anyways, yes.
Was.
Sorry.
Thank
Star.
you. Okay,
Star.
yeah. So when things were at their worst, 1963, there were only 417 breeding pairs of bald eagles left in the entire United States. 417. That's it. And because of Rachel's book, Silent Spring, they now credit her with the fact that we have over 10,000 breeding pairs in the wild.
But I'm shocked that it was because of her book and not like conservation efforts.
I'm sure it was all of those.
But it just got brought to their attention.
They're bringing it all the way back because of her. And they called her a crazy lady to start with. Okay, number 3, this one kind of sucks. Not going to lie. A Yale study from 2021 found that indigenous peoples in North America experienced a 99% reduction in their land over the course of American history. 99% reduction in land, North America. That's insane. Not only that, but the 1% of land that they were forced onto had barely any natural resources like oil or gas or anything important that they needed, and was found to be, quote, specifically more exposed to climate change. So just for clarity here, the people with the longest and most proven track record of taking care of North America, like I just said, 5% of indigenous people taking care of 25% of the land, right, got pushed onto the land least worth taking. And now we're asking them to help us fix the problem we made.
Yeah.
Right? It's terrible. It's
Colonialism, man.
It's super sad. But here they are, like they're still being awesome.
I mean, sure,
and like,
yes,
and like fixing
but
problems that
we're
we
still
fucked
not
up.
giving them a seat at the table. I don't know. That was a fun fact. It's quite depressing.
That was a sad fact.
Okay, next one.
Okay, sad fact.
Yeah.
I got one sad fact. Okay, finally, last one.
Make it good.
Yeah, this one's good. Okay, so when pollsters asked Americans in 1969 whether protecting the environment was important or not, so this was before the first Earth Day, it barely registered. Okay, something like under 5% of people said that like this was important. Okay. By May 1971, just 1 year after the first Earth Day, that number jumped to 25%, from less than 5 to 25%. Today, it's at 65%. So we are getting somewhere.
Okay.
But if you frame the question differently than like, is protecting the environment important? Because that's too generic. If you frame it and say, do you think Yellowstone and the Grand Canyon should be protected? If you ask that question specifically, suddenly that number jumps to 95%, which tells you something interesting. The idea of stewardship is actually very popular. It's just, like you were saying, politics are keeping it complicated, and people don't know how to connect to it. But when you're very specific about what you think should be protected, everybody's in agreement it should be.
But I think that's what we're called as a community, is to find what we are passionate about, because we're all passionate about different things, and go and spend our time and our resources to preserve that. Instead, we just trust that the government's going to do it.
Do something.
And they don't. So here we are.
So what you're saying is we need to stop this podcast altogether. We need to go do some real stuff. None of this bullshit.
I mean, I think we can still do the podcast, but we should. I mean, there should be something that if you feel convicted of,
we have to go do.
Go do.
But I can't be convicted of
A little bit.
everything. Okay, fine.
No.
All right.
But it's not saying that you're going to solve the world's problems.
I'm not.
It's just doing the best you can with what you're given or what you take.
I think we both need to just have more of a like an effulgent glow out to the world on the things that are important to us, the things we're convicted about.
Fair.
Okay, fine.
All right. Well, here I thought your little Earth Day history lesson was going to be boring, but it really was I think it kind of convicted me to do a little bit more ownership of.
More you than me. Like, you're kind of putting me in the hot seat here. I'm nervous about what I got to go do now.
So if anybody wants to learn more about what they can do, how they can get involved, maybe movements that aren't government regulated, what say you?
Oh my God. I didn't know any of this shit beforehand, so I had to look some of this stuff up. So I learned a lot, actually. So first read Braiding Sweetgrass, the book by Robin Wall Kimball. Well, I mean, you could obviously read Silent Spring, of course, also. But Braiding Sweetgrass is amazing because she writes about plants and ecology, not in like a dorky scientific way, in a way that like you'll walk outside in your backyard and you'll be like, oh my God, I totally get this now. This makes more sense, and no wonder we're all in communion. And I feel like I totally understand why we're connected.
Okay.
Right? In that kind of sense. And it's not this big preachy book. It's like super easy to read and super smart. Second, if you don't like reading, watch the documentary Kiss the Ground on Netflix. It's about, what do they call it? Regenerative agriculture, and does a really good job with like modern science, but like indigenous land philosophy and putting it together. And Woody Harrelson, you know Woody Harrelson. He's a narrator. I love certain narrators, right?
He's
like,
a good one.
Right.
He's a good
Morgan
one.
Freeman, Woody, there's certain guys that like know what they're doing. Totally worth it. And then, like you just said, if you want to get your hands dirty, right? I didn't know where to go. I had no idea where to start. Look up a local nature conservancy or the Indigenous-led Conservation Fund. Check it out online. Both of these places are working on land projects right now and are specifically incorporating that whole traditional ecological knowledge thing that we were talking about earlier and how they manage land. So you can sign up anywhere in your community in either one of those. They're doing things all over the United States, and just get involved with a small little move in the right direction.
I like it.
And if you don't want to do any of those things, well, then just remember these facts to be
Sulta sophisticated.
Here we go. Okay. The modern environmental movement in America traces back to a single book by Rachel Carson called Silent Spring, which was the first time the general public really understood that human actions could silently poison the natural world in ways that we couldn't even see or smell or taste. Number 2, Earth Day started on April 22nd, 1970, when 20 million Americans showed up for the largest political demonstration in U.S. history up to that point. Within a year, the EPA existed. Within a decade, the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and the Endangered Species Act were all voted into law. So Earth Day was massive. Number 3, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, one of the oldest democracies on Earth, had a philosophy called the 7th generation principle that said every decision should be made with the next 7 generations in mind. That's roughly 150 years into the future. Compare that with our current standard of our next quarterly earnings report, and you see sort of the flaw in our current thinking. Number 4, indigenous peoples make up about 5% of the global population, but manage roughly 25% of the world's land. And that biodiversity within those territories is measurably healthier than in any of the areas managed by Western science alone. Go figure. And finally, the biggest takeaway, the difference between owning the land and being in a relationship with the land is not just philosophical wordplay. Like Amanda challenged me today, it changes every single decision you make about how you use it, how to protect it, and what you're obligated to leave behind. So think carefully.
Well, there you have it, dear listeners. We came in thinking we were doing an Earth Day episode, and we ended up somewhere way more interesting than that, in my personal opinion. The oldest lesson some societies seem to forget isn't really about the environment at all. It's about responsibility and about the quiet assumption that the world you inherited came at a cost, and the world you leave behind will matter most to someone you'll never meet. So if we did our job right today, we're walking away a little more sophisticated, maybe a little more curious about the wisdom that was sitting right there next to us the whole time while we were out here trying to invent better pesticides. So as always, if you like this episode, hit subscribe, leave a review, and share it with that one friend who rolls her eyes every time someone mentions Earth Day, because now they actually have to pay attention, and not gonna lie, I was one of those people. Until next time, stay curious, think ahead, and remember, the most sophisticated thing you can do might just be to ask whose wisdom you've been ignoring.